This one's certainly a little bit of an interesting case, to say the least. As we go later on into the day, going to start seeing that snowfall continue into the early evening hours. But then the cause for concern becomes icing on the roads, especially in the overnight hours tonight and then into tomorrow morning as well. And that's essentially copy and paste tomorrow night into Wednesday morning as well, as temperatures are going to get into the teens here for the next couple of nights. So some bitter colds certainly on the way with this whole system. Now, as for what we're seeing here throughout the next few days, well, it's going to be interesting to say the least. After tonight, the snow clears up, but the cold temperatures do not. Now, looking at Skycam Network right now, you can see where throughout the area we've got some pretty significant snow still coming down on Poor Mountain and in the Star City itself. Even just looking outside the station window right now, you can see it coming down quite hard, blowing sideways pretty much. But from my understanding, it's not like that for all of you. A lot of you have seen totals that are very disparaging, and it's been a hot minute since I've seen anything these many discrepancies, I guess would be the way to say it, over the last few hours with snowfall totals. Now, one thing I'll say to pay attention to, temperatures right now throughout each of these areas within the 30s. Roanoke about 29, Wytheville 31, Blacksburg 31, and Poor Mountain 32. Keep that in mind because we're going to talk about that a little bit later on within this stream. For right now, though, with those temperatures being similar, you could see areas in white, areas that are seeing snowfall, but you see it's kind of that darker gray, bluish type coloration all the way down towards Blacksburg, Floyd, Rocky Mount right now. Those are some heavier bands of snow that are going through the area. So if you're seeing snowfall get a little bit heavier in your area, it's likely going to be one of those regions with this. But as you can see in Roanoke, certainly have some low-lying clouds and some snow coming down, but you'll notice the roads actually look quite clear, which, again, keep in mind those temperatures that I just talked about, because that's going to come into play later on when we're talking about why we're seeing what we're seeing. That snow continuing today with maybe a little bit of ice, but the cold overnight tonight, again, going to lead to black ice concerns for the next few days. Okay, so let's talk about what we're seeing right now in terms of those alerts. You see areas pretty much east of Roanoke, including Bedford, out into Lynchburg and southwestern Virginia and south central Virginia. All areas that are under winter storm warnings until about 5 p.m. today, thanks to those heavier bands of snow. Further east you go, it gets to about 6 p.m., given the fact that we are seeing a little bit more of that heavier snow move into those areas. So if you're out towards Amelia, Farmville, likely going to see those continue a little bit later on. But everywhere else under winter weather advisories until about 1 a.m. tonight for that snowfall that's going to keep falling here over the next few hours. Let's time it all out for you with Futurecast. 30 degrees for the next few hours at the most, and you start to see snow break apart here by about 8 to 9 p.m. tonight, and that's going to be when we start seeing some cloud cover left over and maybe some clearer skies for the east. 17 degrees as we get to about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Very calm winds, so overall, going to be looking like we're a lot calmer tomorrow, but still pretty cold. Here's where stuff gets interesting, and interesting is definitely one way to put it. These are estimated snowfall totals from both weather stations and radar estimates here over the last 24 hours. Pretty much the duration of this storm since it started earlier in the morning today and continuing until about now. Now, while you may be looking at this and saying, there's no way I got 2.5 inches at my house. There's no way I got 1.4 in Lynchburg. I got more. I got less. Yeah, you probably did. This is a very unique storm, and there's a few reasons for that. The first off being, I think a lot of this earlier this morning was likely we were likely looking at some wintry mix in terms of precipitation. And if we go back in our radar archive for what we saw this morning, here's what you're going to notice. You're going to notice that by the time we had looked, let's look at the radar here for what we're seeing here. We don't want to go out of Raleigh. We want to go out of Blacksburg. Let's flash all the way back about 12 hours. And you're going to notice something interesting. And I want you to remember this for when I show you that snowfall total map again. About 5 in the morning this morning, a little bit earlier, we started seeing wintry mix and some rain come in. But look what happens around 5 o'clock in the morning. Areas such as southeastern Roanoke, parts of the New River Valley even, further out into Danville and further to the east, all saw rainfall. Look what happens by about 7 in the morning. Notice Floyd a little bit colder, more snowfall, less rain, and you can start seeing the influence that the topography has on some of this snowfall, where a lot of the areas that we've seen significantly more started up earlier in the morning, whereas everywhere else was experiencing rain. Then we started getting those heavier bands of snowfall in the region, and that continued until at least the last few hours. Now that we've looked at that, let's go back to the snowfall total map. Now you'll notice on here, you remember how I said earlier that those colder temperatures and colder air aloft in the atmosphere and closer to the surface was really impacting areas such as Floyd County? And look at the areas that have the most amount of snowfall here over the last few hours. And in even parts of Roanoke. We've seen Facebook comments, all the fun stuff. Oh, well, I got absolutely nothing here in Roanoke. I actually got 4 inches in Roanoke. A lot of that likely depending on this edge. The area we've seen in southwestern Roanoke County get the most amount of snowfall has been out towards this area. For the rest of the area, vastly different amounts. Now, some of the snowfall totals you see on here, they're estimates. They're rough estimates. Some of the reports that we've actually gotten include Christiansburg, which has had about 3.5 inches, Hillsville, which has had about 5, Dry Fork, which has had 2.3, and then other areas that have received anywhere from 2 to 4 inches throughout the region. There have been so many disparagements in snowfall totals from region to region, even as localized as within a county. Again, look at what's happening in Roanoke County. Areas in southwestern parts of Roanoke County, significantly more than eastern, the Grandin Road area, and parts of northern Roanoke as well. So, if you're outside and you're wondering, well, I don't see 3 inches of snow, but it says 3 inches on there, a lot of this snow has not really stuck. And that could be to a variety of regions. An urban heat island effect in Roanoke, whereas urban areas run a little bit warmer from time to time. We've been at 32 degrees most of the day. That may have pushed it over the edge just a little bit more to cause the city of Roanoke to see some less snowfall than what we saw in areas such as southwestern Roanoke County. And along with the topography, the valley regions certainly seeing more thanks to that colder air being closer to the surface and sinking down within the valley. So a lot of sciencey stuff going on with this system by far. Now, as for tonight, low temperatures drop into the teens overnight, and this is going to give cause for concern when it comes to black ice. As we look at exactly what to expect with any kind of black ice accumulation, well, we could see a decent amount throughout the area, and that's going to be cause for concern here as we go into the overnight hours tonight and then into the early morning hours tomorrow. Would not surprise me if we see some delays or cancellations tomorrow morning because of ice on roads. Now, granted, we have had a great job done by all of those people who have been salting the roads, clearing them out, plowing them out. So nice work on their behalf, but we still cannot rule out the chance for some ice accumulation overnight, especially black ice accumulation, which is certainly going to be possible here within the area. So let's talk about that real quick, because it's certainly going to be within the realm of possibilities. As we get later on into the overnight hours, a lot of those road temperatures and those surface areas, they're already going to be about 32 degrees, if not getting below. And that being said, we're going to start getting layers of ice that likely freeze over the roads, leading to icy conditions. And given the fact that a lot of this is going to be transparent, it's going to be hard to see. So if you are heading out and about tonight, tomorrow morning, tomorrow night even, or on Wednesday morning, be sure you're going to want to watch for black ice, as it's certainly going to be within the realm of possibilities here over the next few days. With that being said, we're going to continue to watch for snowfall accumulating across the region, and we'll end up seeing some vastly different reports here by the end of this event, but going to be impactful regardless because of the ice threat. And keep sending us your snowfall totals on Facebook, pin it, whatever the case may be, as we are certainly interested in seeing what you've seen outside in your neighborhood.